Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Barbarian Druid multi-class build guide from Baldur's Gate 3. Now what makes this one interesting is I got a unique strategy that I haven't seen on any other build before, so I'm going to be showing that to you guys in this video. So we're going to start off with the Barbarian because we give ourselves Constitution saving throw proficiency. That gives us a nice ability to hold concentration on spells. Now this is a multi-attribute dependent build, so it does have some attributes that we do need to have, but the nice thing is when we're in wild shape form, it's mostly taken care of. But we want to have high constitution, we're going to go with higher dexterity, strength we can dump, and then we can also put the rest of our points into our wisdom stat, as we want to have a pretty high wisdom to be able to deal with the wild shape form that we'll be in. So ideally, your stats would look something like this. You can put some points into charisma if you want to be the face of the party. And then strength, we can use strength potions if we need strength. But if not, we can just go like a 10 strength there. So something like this for our stats would be good. And yeah, this build's actually quite interesting because it's going to have some very nice synergy. So I'll get into it when we get into the gear, because that's really what makes this build so good. But we're actually going to switch back to the druid. So what's nice is oh, that's weird clipping. We get ourselves some interesting synergy between these two classes. So for our cantrips, we're going to go with Shillelagh and Thorn Whip. So this is nice because it can pull some people towards you and knock them off of cliffs, which is great early on. And the Shillelagh gives you the ability to turn your staff into a wisdom modifier affected weapon. So that's pretty good. As for our spells, Create Water, Healing Word are two ones that we definitely want to have. Create Water can be very useful for setting up other party members, so it's good to be able to take that. Healing Word is a bonus action heal. Enough said, you can use that to bring up your teammates that are downed. I think Fog Cloud's a pretty good option as well as Long Strider. Like these are two. This is a ritual spell, increases movement speed by 3 meters, which is really nice. And then Fog Cloud's a concentration that blinds. So we're going to go with that for our cantrips early on in the game. What's interesting about this build is how it all works together to make something extremely powerful. So we're going to go with the Circle of the Moon. So we have the Combat Wild Shape, which allows us to do this as a bonus action, which is nice compared to the action that requires. See, as an action you can transform, whereas this becomes a bonus action, which is really big. And we also get the Wild Shape Bear, which can goad enemies into attacking it, giving our team a bit of extra tankiness. I do like Ice Knife because that has some synergy with Create Water for extra early game damage. And a nice thing too about Create Water is it won't aggro people when you start combat, so you can Create Water and then start hitting them with their spells. So the next spell that we're going to go with, Heat Metal or Flame Blade. Flame Blade's actually kind of interesting for this build. We can actually go take off some of these spells. Flame Blade's actually going to give us the ability to do some interesting things. So I'll get into that in a moment. But Heat Metal can also be a good concentration. We're going to be using the Pyro Quickness hat, so you can go with Heat Metal instead of Flame Blade. Flame Blade will trigger your Pyro Quickness hat as well as attacking with the Flame Blade because it deals fire damage, which is awesome. But we can also go with Heat Metal, and yeah, that's what makes this build actually really crazy. Because we need a bonus action to Wild Shape, and we need a bonus action to Rage. We're able to do both of them if we have the Pyro Quickness hat, which will give us 2 bonus actions, which is huge. Now, at level 4, we get ourselves a feat, and we're going to take Produce Flame for our spell there, Darkness from the racial trait. I think that this is probably the best spell lineup. And then for ability improvements, it's actually best to go with Tavern Brawler, because when we're in Wild Shape form, we actually get the extra attack rolls added to our damage, which is just huge. And then the damage rolls do apply to certain Wild Shape forms, so we could have went with the 15 Constitution. I guess I should have left that at 15, but we can take that up. If you had 17 Constitution, then I'll take it up to the 18. So even if you want to go with a higher Constitution, I probably should have did it that way. You can go with it that way. So Tavern Brawler is huge for Wild Shape, and that's what we're going to be making most of the use out of this build. So we get our improved Wild Shape at level 6, which is delayed, but we do have the Constitution saving throw proficiencies. Now for our spells, actually we can go with something like this. Call Lightning is actually really great because it's a concentration, so you can continually call down lightning, and it pairs well with Create Water. But we're not going to be using a lot of spells most of the time. We get the Owlbear shape here, which is just fantastic, and then we also get Primal Strike, which turns our physical attacks into magical for the purpose of overcoming resistances. So if something's resistant to physical damage, we're going to override that. Now, Plant Growth's actually really good because this doesn't require concentration and it quarters movement speed. And if you have like a Warlock, you can cast this on top of the Hunger of Hadar and it basically traps enemies in it. So that's a really useful way to go about this build. Now, at our next level, we get some really great spells that we gotta take. So Conjure Minor Elemental and Conjure Woodland Being are two ones that you definitely need. And Wall of Fire is another spell that's actually pretty good. So it deals fire damage, and it can set up our Pyro Quickness hat too, which is great. So we're gonna go with these spells here. And then at our next level, we can actually take the Ice Wall. We also get the Saber-Tooth Tiger at Druid level 8. And then we'll take Ice Storm. Or you can also go with Confusion for great crowd control. For our next feat, there's a couple options that are really great. So if you have Sentinel, it'll actually work in the Myrmidon forms. So that's really good for just being able to make opportunity attacks in wild shape. I also am a big fan of like the dual wielder, so it gives you +1 armor class when you're dual wielding, and that +1 actually carries over into your wild shape form. So you get that extra +1 armor class, which not a lot of things carry over into the wild shape. So that's really nice. So we could go with that if you wanted to be able to dual wield weapons. And another thing you could do is you can dual wield staves. So that can be pretty great. It gives you extra spell casting. So we can go with that to give ourselves an extra armor class while we're in the wild shape. But I also like Alert for the +1 to initiative, because that can be actually massive whenever we're going about, you know, hiding or whenever we're in wild shape, because initiative rolls are at the start of the combat. So even if you wild shape and lose all your stats, you still get that +5 to initiative. So I would go with either dual wielder or that there Alert perk, because it can be really great too. At Druid level 9, we get ourselves a level 5 spell, so we're going to take Conjure Elemental. Just great to have the more summons on our side, because it really adds up in terms of how much you can turn the action economy. We also get our improved wild shapes forms here, and we get our Myrmidon forms from the Moon Druid, so Water, Fire, Earth, and Air Myrmidon, plus the Dilophosaurus and improved wild shape. We get another cantrip here. I would go with Guidance. And then for our final spell, Insect Plague can be good for just overall crowd control and damage. I really just like the plant growth there. So Spike Growth is good, but we're going to be getting it from the Woodland Being, so it's not super necessary that we are going to be using it. And then for our final level, this is where it's interesting, because we could go with another level of Druid, or we can go back to the Barbarian and add in our extra level Barbarian, which would give us 2 extra health, which is kind of nice. But if you want a level 6 spell, like if you really want Sunbeam or Heal or Wall of Thorns for some reason, you can go with that. I guess it does lose all of our we have to reselect our spells, because I guess I'll just go back to here and we'll keep the old spells that we had. So now what makes this build interesting, so I'll get into the gear, and we got the unarmored defense. We get the nice +6 to Constitution if we use the Constitution amulet, and we're wearing the Wave Mother's robe. But the Moon Druid armor of Moon Basking, this is kind of the Druid armor, so I have it on there. This gives you 22 temporary health points while in wild shape, and then you reduce all damage by 1, +2 to armor class, and advantage on saving throws. And this persists in your Druid form, so that's really great. If we're in our non-Druid form, it's actually best to go with the Vesta Soul Rejuvenation, because we get a nice 25 armor class. And then if we add in another staff here, I guess I'll put the Belm on, that gives us a nice 26 armor class. And what's cool about this is we can, like with the Belm, this is actually one of the best Druid weapons, believe it or not. It's kind of funny. But we have a nice 26 armor class outside of, you know, going into wild shape form. So Evasive Shoes, Cloak of Protection, and the Ring of Protection, and then their Soul Rejuvenation Vest gives us +2 to armor class. So it's a nice bonus. Like 26 armor class is great considering we don't have a shield on. But what's cool is the Pyro Quickness hat. That's what makes this build so powerful, because in order to be able to Rage and Wild Shape in the same turn, you need 2 bonus actions, which can be acquired by taking 3 levels of Thief, but that really handicaps the Druid, because you don't get the Moon Druid's ability to Wild Shape and attack twice. So with this, when you deal fire damage with a leveled spell, you burn yourself and gain an additional bonus action this round. So that's huge, because we got Wall of Fire here, which can work as a fire spell. For our summons, I would recommend bringing in like the Earth Elemental. I think this is one of the strongest ones, so I like having that around. The Conjure Woodland Being is fantastic, because when you call in the Woodland Being, you can allow it to call in a Fallen Lover, which is awesome. And then it also has Spike Growth, so you get an extra summon and a huge crowd control with spike growth, so that's awesome. And then we also get the minor elementals, which benefit from water damage. The ice mephits are really great because there's 2 of them there, so we get 2 ice mephits, resistance to poison damage. So these go good with like a necromancer build as well, but they'll be able to deal double damage for our water. We got the produce flame here. What's cool about produce flame is we're able to make the flame and then produce flame hurl. We can throw the fire. Now I don't know if this is going to aggro Scratch. It's always a iffy attack if we'll aggro him, but if I attack something, we get the bonus action there. I guess I'll cast this spell. And this may aggro him. It didn't give us the bonus action, which is weird, but I guess heat metal, something like that, would give us the bonus action that we require. And what we get from that is that extra bonus action so that we can go into our rage form and then go into our wild shape, because we get the wild shape as a bonus action, as you can see there. So pretty crazy. We do have to be in combat to be able to rage, so that's unfortunately one of the prerequisites, but whenever we rage, we're going to be dealing extra damage with melee and improved weapons and throwing, and we take half damage, so that actually persists into our wild shape form, so we can rage and then call in our, you can go into the whatever form you want to go with. I like the Myrmidon forms, but also the bear form's pretty good early game. So we can go into our wild shape form, and then on top of all of that, we have the nice ability to, the armor class is only 14 there, but I guess if we could go out of our wild shape, and then alternatively you can go with the armor of the moon basking here, and then whenever we go into our wild shape, we get ourselves the nice increased armor class from that. So you can see there we get +2 from lunar protection, +1 from dexterity. The dexterity is unfortunately capped from the owlbear itself. And then we get that the dual wielder bonus armor class is awesome because it does work in the wild shape, and then 2 from lunar protection from that there. So this is a pretty interesting barbarian build guide from Baldur's Gate 3, combining the best of the barbarian with the druid. So yeah, your usual combat encounter would be have your summons up obviously before battle starts, and then what you're going to do is use a fire spell, so you get a free spell, and then rage, and then turn into your bear or whatever you want to turn into. It's pretty strong. I didn't see any builds using the pyro quickness half for this, but the druid does get fire spells that it can use to proc that. Also, another way you can proc it is by let's see if we can leave our shape here. And if you use your, let's see here, if we use our flame scimitar, I think it might have removed it. Unfortunately, I'll have to, I guess, put that back on. We did lose some of the spells whenever we were switching between classes there, but when we go in and take our flaming scimitar here, this will give us another bonus action, even though it doesn't show it right now. We're just not in combat. So you can use that with the, I guess it goes in our offhand, which is kind of funny, but if we attack with that, this will also count as fire damage, so then we can do our 2 bonus actions. So pretty interesting combination of things that we can do with this build, the Barbarian in Baldur's Gate 3. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. If you have any requests for any build guides, please let me know as well in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you in the next video.